Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 137 of the Noclip podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you may see that I'm wearing my black shirt, which I've worn every day for approximately 15 years. But these two gentlemen are just wearing the most delicious floral shirts. It is summer games time, clearly. Jeremy Jane, millions of peaches.
Peaches for me. I think these are oranges.
Okay, sorry.
Millions of
I don't know
oranges.
any oranges songs. Do you know any oranges songs?
Actually,
what rhymes are orange?
Door hinge.
Oh,
nice.
shit.
Yeah.
See,
Of course.
This is why Frank Howley's a rapper, and we're just
Exactly.
laymen.
Yeah.
Of course, the
I'll
freestyle
grab you-
guy.
And in the MCA and like check it out. It's like, yeah, we're blowing off hinges. I'll grab you with the pinches. You know,
There you go. See?
Yeah.
He does it. How's the Final Fantasy song coming along for Frank,
Oh,
Jeremy?
It's good. I've got two potential beats that I hacked out. See, the thing about doing a sample beat is you want to just like quick and dirty it, you know? And then you come back to
Okay.
it, you see if it's good. But I've got a beat with like 3 change-ups. So I'm going to revisit them this week and see if I still like them.
I was messing around in Mario Paint and I found out you can make beats in
Yes,
Mario Paint.
yes.
But they are awful. It's like pig sounds and like, but it's kind of fun. So that, yeah, I don't know. It's been
Maybe
fun.
like a kid's toy or something. Is
Yeah.
it?
That's our
yeah.
thing, though. That's, you know, like Aphex Twin played with like little toys and shit and like
Yeah.
rewired them. That's our thing. We're the Mario Paint group. So I produce on Mario Paint and you rap, and that's our thing.
That's
Oh
good.
my God.
I've been listening to a lot of Boards of Canada recently, mostly because Alex Austin is a huge Boards of Canada fan. So whenever he's over here coding, we always put Boards of Canada on. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, it's very Aphexy.
Yeah.
It's very like they were clearly using the same Moogs or whatever, putting it together. Isn't it crazy where you notice that? You notice like the sounds of synthesizers. Like I've never really had an ear for that, but you know, you can kind of hear like, oh, they're using like a similar. Or you can hear like there's eras of production that are kind of similar that way.
Yeah, they have like flavors to them. I almost feel like
Yeah.
even if you don't know anything about synthesizers, I feel like you can be like, oh, it's kind of like those icy, like the descriptors you can use for them are things that normal people understand, I feel like, you know?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Frank Howley, what is on your shirt? I can't quite make it out because the bitrate on my video has decided to tank right now.
Yeah, this is like a floral print from Uchu Summer. So there's like seashells, flowers. I think there's like a drink glass on somewhere, but
Beautiful. Don't leave glass
Yeah,
on the beach. Don't do that. I stood on some glass in my kitchen 2 days ago and it just went straight up. It was like tiny, but it went straight up like a splinter. And I had to like pull it out, and then putting a bandage on the like bottom of your foot near your toes is just like the most annoying place to put a bandage, because it's like there's no fucking way that's staying there. Like you gotta sock it up. Nobody cares. All right, fair enough.
When I was in college, me and my friends would cut open, you'd break a glow stick and you would cut them open and you'd splatter the glow stick liquid everywhere. This
like
involved
a murder scene.
It was like a murder scene, but like very beautiful and psychedelic. And so we would have, we'd have parties and everyone would get intoxicated and we'd splatter glow sticks all over the house and it would turn the entire house into this like planetarium glow field.
Oh my
And it was
God.
unbelievable because in the pitch black, you couldn't determine kind of like the depth of everything. So it just felt like you were in this glowing field. I feel like I don't even really need to say that there were some substances involved in this.
Wow.
But the bad thing is that glow sticks, the way that they keep the chemicals from mixing ahead of time and glowing in the store on the shelf is that there's a little glass vial in there that holds the liquids. So when you break it...
is it really glass?
Yeah.
When you snap it?
When you snap it, that sound is glass breaking.
Oh no.
And so if you cut them open with scissors and go like this everywhere, you get little tiny minuscule knives. And so we held about 6 of these parties, and
Are these a children's toy?
yeah,
primarily.
True. But then we would just step on glass for the entire 2 years we lived in that place. There would just be glass. You could never get rid of it. I would just step on glass every single day.
What about all the glow shit that was all over the walls in this presumably rented house that you were in?
I mean, if I die at like 45, you'll know that was the cause. It was all over. And I got so much of that shit on my skin.
I wasn't saying it for my health and safety. I was saying it. I'm standing up for landlords, Jeremy Jane.
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm doing.
someone needs to.
Did you clean it off the walls, or is it kind of just there forever?
You
or-
know, I feel like it like
Don't answer.
I feel like
Don't incriminate yourself.
it's gone one way or another. I feel like it
It's got-
evaporated.
okay. Yeah. Just get a dog to lick it all off. Or
No,
something like
no,
that.
that's worse.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, my kid loves glow sticks. I feel like that's a common we just had a birthday party for her, so there was a lot of like, our house is just completely covered in balloons is one thing that happens. And there are two areas of the house where we can't have the balloons go. One is the one part of our house, we don't have AC in our house, but it's kind of like well designed, I guess, to not like, once you close the blinds on one side of the house in the morning, and then once the sun is kind of making its way over to the other side, you kind of do the switcheroo, you're generally okay. But we have one ceiling fan in like the living room when you come in, and I've been like telling her, for the love of God, do not let the balloon go up there. So she knows that's a place it definitely shouldn't go. But there's another place where I don't want it to go because it's really high up. It's like in a stairwell. So if it's on the side of the stairwell that is at the bottom of the stairs, it's hard to get at, right? Because it's like 10 foot above you, and one of the balloons has like a tiny little cable. Like I cut it too low, so it's only got like a foot of string. And she keeps being like, "Oh, it's gone up there, Dad, again." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, has it?" It's weird how it keeps going up into that one. The one I'm not going to get angry about, but I'm definitely going to have to go get for you. It's like, "Oh, Dad, the balloon's gone. Where's it gone?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." Fucking kids. They're great. Anyway, get a kid, because then you get to have balloons in your house all the time. Thank you to all of our tremendous kids, our Battle Pass holders. I like to think of you all as our children. Battle Royale games: Arno, Richard Matherson, James Brown, Jason Drury, Mark Rojas, Ryan Cobb, Tucker Morgan, Crimson Cyclist, Sven Huster, Carson, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Andy Fegan, Eric Hamilton, Schneider, Cameron Ladd, Alex Sharp, Alex Goucher, the Alexes as I call them, George Sakotis, Jacob Godserve, James Andrew Adams, Tohir Tiliev, and of course, Ryson. Been thinking about Ricicles a lot this past week.
Can I tell you, yesterday I had Alex Goucher's name in my head, and I couldn't remember that it was one of our patrons, and I couldn't figure out who it was. I was walking around my house all day, and I was like, "Who the fuck is Alex Goucher? Why is that name burned into my brain?"
Famous cinematographer.
Yeah, I was like, "Is that like a writer or like a musician or something?
Yeah.
Who is that?"
Who knows?
Also,
who knows what Alex Goucher does?
I wonder if Cameron Ladd knows that I hold up a mask the last few weeks that says Cameron Ladd on it. I wonder if he's a podcast viewer or listener. Cameron, if you want me to stop holding up a mask that has your name on it, just ping me on the Discord and I will.
Yeah, and we'll consider it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you have to pay a higher tier to like own what we do at your name.
That's the no mask tier.
That's the no mask tier. Jesus Louises. We've got some video games to talk about here, folks. I forgot to talk about the whole part where you can support us on Patreon, but I think that's fairly implied. So we're going to talk about some video games. I played the Sea of Thieves Monkey Island thing, so we're going to talk about that. I also want to talk about a game that is just absolutely fucking deranged, that is based on those games you would see in YouTube commercials, or like that would pop up on ads on like, you know, sports streaming websites. We'll get to that in a second. Also, I talked to Frank about filming the Sneak King documentary, but before all of that, Jeremy Jane has been out fishing for indies, and Lord, he has caught himself a big one. Jeremy Jane, tell us about Viewfinder.
Viewfinder is a game that I believe the demo blew up during Steam Next Fest. I know a lot of people played this demo, but I have heard surprisingly little about it since it's actually released. Viewfinder is a first-person puzzle game. I would say the description that kept popping into my head playing it was it's like Portal and The Witness had a baby. It is kind of like it is like if you cut those two in half and stitch them together. Tonally, mechanically, kind of a lot of things. I don't think the one thing I will caveat is that I think this game is unbelievably mechanically brilliant. I don't know if it has quite the story chops of either of those games, but it almost doesn't matter. In fact, there's a meme going around right now where somebody turns off the speech volume within like 4 lines of the game starting, because it does happen a lot. There's kind of a lot of lines where the person pops in and they're like, "Oh, you fell down a hole, did you? How are you going to get out of there?" And it's like, all right, just let me learn the game. But
can you just turn it off and enjoy the game?
Yes, you totally can.
Okay.
And all of the audio logs are totally optional. So this is a game that recognizes that some people just want to mainline puzzles. And my God, these puzzles are fan-fucking-tastic.
So this is the game, I remember seeing this on Twitter. This is the game where you are taking Polaroids and then holding them up, and then that is what, like, that's the actual world.
Yeah.
Like, you make the 2D thing that was on your Polaroid be in 3D.
Yeah, so exactly. So there are a number of different ways that happen. The game kind of starts you off. I won't spoil any mechanics. I'll just talk about very early game stuff. But the first kind of like photo you find, you hold it up, and imagine if you were holding a photograph at arm's length and looking into it. And then as soon as you locked it in, the things in the photograph at the perspective that you're viewing them were instantiated into the game world, such that if you push the button and you don't move, it looks like the photograph is still hovering in front of your eyes. Like it doesn't change the quality of its appearance until you move. But as soon as you move an inch either way, you begin to see the depth of it. And I don't know, the brilliance of it is kind of that it just slices through the world. Like I've been doing a lot of game dev for the last couple of years, and this game is like the biggest coding flex I've ever seen in my life. It slices through meshes. So if you hold up a photograph over, say, like half of a phonograph or half like a record player and the ground and like some chairs, it will slice the record player and the chairs in half. It'll slice the ground in half.
Oh,
and
wow.
it just punches through in like a tunnel the entire world.
So it's not even. So it's not even like if it was like level geometry, it'd be one thing, but it's also like objects within the world. It literally like bisects like the models of them and everything.
Yeah, I kept testing.
Do they react physics wise? Like, do they?
So the stuff that's in the world that's not interactable, like the record players and stuff, they're kind of, I think those are just static objects. But for example, if you take this is the only other mechanic I'll spoil, is that at some point, this is in every trailer as well. If you get a Polaroid, which Danny mentioned, and so you can produce your own pictures of the world, which is cool because then if you take a picture of something that's like a key item, you can duplicate the key item, place the photograph, walk into the photo and get the key item, and now you have two of them.
Oh my God.
If the key item is inaccessible, you could take the photograph and put it upside down in the sky, and it will fall into your lap.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
How are they? This is, I'm just like, I don't know anything about engineering, but like, this sounds like an absolute nightmare. Even the fact that you get to take the photograph, because like there could be a world in which like, oh, you get these photographs and then you can, they have some control over the thing that you're going to place in the world. But the fact that you can actually decide what that is as well seems like a QA nightmare or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're pulling it off. I was thinking when I was playing in Blender, there's a modifier called Boolean, and what the Boolean modifier does is, so you have a cube and a sphere, and you put the sphere overlapping the cube, and then apply the Boolean modifier and select the sphere, and then remove the sphere. It will cut out a sphere-shaped hole in the cube.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't exist in Unity. As much as trust me, I've looked for it.
Dude, that doesn't exist in fucking Photoshop, and it used to exist in Macromedia Fireworks. Had a punch. They had punched through. Maybe it was because you were using vectors. I don't know. But if they figured that out in Photoshop, and can somebody please email me or Twitter me or something? Because having like a straight up punch through is something that I've seen in like CAD.
Yeah.
Stuff before, and it used to be in Fireworks, which really fucking ages me that I'm talking about good old Macromedia. Although a lot of the files on these press kits I've been pulling are Macromedia Flash exports, which is very, very funny, and they still have the logo. It looks really cool. But that's wild.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're custom slicing meshes. I don't know if it's like a shader thing. I'm really not sure how they're doing it. But it is. This game is so. My fear was that this was going to be kind of a one-trick pony game. I was worried that it would just, because the other thing that people are talking about is that this is a $25 game, and the entire runtime of the game is about 4 to 5 hours.
Okay.
So it is. I mean, it's a little short for the price. I almost finished it last night in one sitting. I saved myself a little bit of the end because I just wanted to have another session with it. But it is so generous with its mechanics that every single level it will teach you something new or do something new with mechanics that you're familiar with. It is unbelievably generous with its design. It's not like rehashing puzzles in the same way. It's constantly throwing new things at you, to the extent that at one point, maybe probably like 30% through this game, there was one level that just kept like boom, boom, boom. Like, oh yeah, you think that's cool? What about this? What about this? I literally out loud to myself, I went, stop, just chill. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, so all that Polaroid stuff is kind of like front loaded a bit, does it? Or all that type of stuff? It keeps mixing it up.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
So it does keep doing the photo stuff as you go. Like, you don't start with the camera. I think you get that probably like 10-20% into the game, but it keeps remixing the ways you use things and inventing new mechanics and new applications for mechanics. But yeah, I don't know, it's just it has these these moments that I can only describe as kind of field ground reversal. In fact, here's a perfect tie-in to our intro. You know when I was talking about splattering glow sticks on the walls, and I said that in the pitch black, it's sort of like you lose this sense of space around you, and you're like, oh, I'm in a 1,000-mile dome of stars, and it's like, oh no, you're in the basement. That feeling is very rare to me. In fact, that is part of the reason that as a college student I had a fascination with psychedelics and with throwing glow sticks at the walls is feelings of awe like that, feelings where you are perceiving a thing and then the thing isn't what you expected. That feeling is so unusual and so rare and so awe-inspiring and like sublime that I have sought out that feeling throughout my life just because it is like rare and life-affirming and beautiful. It's like staring at the granite wall in Yosemite, but like a different flavor of that type of experience. And Viewfinder is constantly doing things where you'll walk around a corner and you're like, oh, that's a staircase, right? And then as you approach the staircase, it's not a staircase. Like it's something totally different. And it's just that after like boom, 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 boom. It's just hitting you with like illusions. And it's like if MC Escher made a video game. It really is.
Right.
And it's just, yeah, I haven't finished this yet, and like I said, I'm not super into the story. It's kind of light touch, but that notwithstanding, I really think this is mechanically up there with things like the Portal and with Portal and the Witness.
The Witness and the Portal.
Witness and the Portal.
And I guess by proxy, the Looker.
And the Looker as well, yeah.
we talked
Among
about
that
last week.
pantheon of great puzzlers. Yeah, it's just unbelievably brilliant. It is just.
What are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on PC.
Is it PC only?
I feel like their website said coming to PS5 soon. I don't know if their website's up to date or something. But I know it's at least slated for other platforms. But
oh yeah, PS5 as well. It says. I'm not sure if it's out. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's out on PS5 yet. But yeah, you're playing mouse and keyboard or controller?
Yeah, mouse and keyboard.
It's all good.
Yeah. It's it controls well. It's pretty like it doesn't involve a lot of precision platforming. It's kind of more about thinking about how to approach these things and just like kind of meticulously rotating stuff. There's a little bit of platforming. Like there might be one point where something's up high and you have to take a picture of the floor and rotate it so it becomes a ramp and stuff like that. But it's not like what's the
Meat Boy? You're not like jumping from like it's not like a jump map thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
what's the fucking game that came out last year? I keep wanting to say Neon Demon, and that's not the name of it.
Oh, Neon White.
Thank
White,
you.
yeah.
It's not like Neon White.
Demon is the Scarlett Johansson horror movie, I think. Yeah. Pretty good.
Also recommend Neon Demon. But
it's a good pairing.
Yeah.
You could do a double feature.
Yeah, it's
probably.
like wine and cheese. But yeah, it's not like that. It's not like you're gonna be flying all over the place, but it is kind of levels in the sky. It's sort of the slow, meticulous, brainy version of that game, sort of.
Nice.
Yeah.
There is it is on PlayStation 5. Curiously, it is $28.49 on PlayStation 5, which is a bit confusing. There is also a demo available on the PlayStation, which there does not seem to be on Steam, but I guess that was probably the demo they had last year. It's reminding me a little bit of remember Superliminal that came out in late 2020, which was the game where you pick up objects and if you like their perspective in front of you, it was similar to this, I guess, in that you pick up a little cube, but if you like looked up into the sky and the cube was large from your perspective and then you let go of the cube, it would be large and it would like fall down. Superliminal was a cool game. I think I completed that. It was about $20 as well. Wasn't particularly long. Had a sort of a vibe that was a bit more. Why am I blanking on the name of the game where you're walking through liminal office spaces a lot?
Stanley Parable?
Yes, the Stanley Parable. Yes, it had a sort of Stanley Parable vibe to the whole thing. But yeah, Viewfinder. I'll check it out. I saw one or two people tweeting about it and saying it's super, super good. So hopefully they're getting some eyes on it. But like you said, it did come out a week ago. And it's got, 1,400 reviews is nothing, but it's not, not massive or anything.
It definitely deserves more. It is it's one of the cleverest games I've ever played, and it's definitely going on my Game of the Year list. It just constantly was just, I was doing a lot of like, and just like scratching my chin alone in my office. So if you're into having your mind blown, pick it up.
Thunderful have a very interesting sort of repertoire of games. Cursed to Golf I remember playing last year.
Oh
Planet of Lana was also them, which I know Jesse was a big fan of. These are all published by them. Lego Brick Tales, which I really enjoyed as well. They've I don't know all that much about Thunderful. They also did the SteamWorld games. Okay, did they? Is that true? Maybe. I'm not sure. It's on their page here, but who knows? Yeah, there you go. So check out Viewfinder. When you first put it in, I thought you'd bought yourself a new piece of camera equipment. You were gonna talk about it, but
no. Also, that's
not.
the last thing I'll say is I am typically not huge on camera games for some reason because I think of them as like work related. Yeah. Because I've been traumatized by cameras. But this is so far from a camera game. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's the fact that I am averse to camera games and this still blew my mind is kind of a testament to its power.
Excellent. I finally got to play Sea of Thieves, the Monkey Island thing. Last week I talked about briefly that I've been dipping my toe into Sea of Thieves to sort of get myself learned in and wised up to the whole how the game works. And then last week they released the first of 3 free adventures that are taking place in the Monkey Island universe. You get them the same way you get everything in Sea of Thieves. You go up to like a person at one of the docks and they give you a mission. The pirate ghost guy tells you to go somewhere. A big gate opens up in the sea and you go straight through it. And this was, and I did it in one go. It was maybe, I don't know, 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours long. And I'm like shocked by how much I enjoyed this. First of all, I'm bad at playing these games with people. Like Destiny 2, I think I was saying last week, I'm never good at like getting a bunch of people together to play a game with me, so I always end up like soloing these games. Even when I did have friends who played games like World of Warcraft, I would often just go off on my own and do my own stuff for large parts of these games. I just kind of enjoy playing games that way a bit more. So I was a bit worried that this would be something that like, oh, I'll probably need like a bunch of people. First of all, you definitely don't. If anything, it felt like it was probably more of a single player thing than anything. And also there's very little using your boat. Like basically when you start this, it's called Sea of Thieves, The Legend of Monkey Island. I guess the story conceit is that Guybrush Threepwood, after his wedding, was going to go to the Sea of Thieves on his honeymoon, but got caught in this like sort of magical storm thing, which has him stuck inside of like a dream that he's made of himself, or it has been made for him. And the dream that he's living is the first Monkey Island game, is The Secret of Monkey Island, the poster that is behind me right now on the YouTube version. So you turn up and you dock your ship. I was actually so in awe of Melee Island coming towards me that I crashed my boat straight into the fucking rocks and it sank. So I actually reloaded and then parked it and then realized it didn't actually matter because I never got in the boat again. You undock at the back of the Scum Bar and it's literally like a 3D version of Melee Island. It's not all of Melee Island in this. I think maybe, judging by the trailers, there are parts of Melee Island that are in this that aren't in this first part of it, but it's basically everything from the lookout tower at the top and most of the main town, which is the Scum Bar, Governor's Mansion, the downtown, the dock, all that sort of stuff. Have you guys played Secret of Monkey Island, or am I just like...
No, I know some of these references though, just through osmosis.
The Scum Bar and all that sort of stuff. So it basically, the game is playing as if, much like the first Monkey Island game, when you walk down from the lookout down into town, it's just that. So everyone who was there is in that, and it is like absolute nostalgia porn, because not only are you like going up to like all the characters that were in this in basically the same situation that they were in at the start of Secret of Monkey Island, except for some things that have been changed for story reasons. It's all in fucking 3D. So like you get to like look behind the Scum Bar for the first time, you know what I mean, like stuff like that. And there's like immediately I knew that they had nailed it, because I got off the dock and there is a quest early in Monkey Island where the cook who's in the kitchen is basically trying to kick you out of it, and you can see off to the right hand side of the screen, because obviously it's on 2D, that there's a bird like pecking at a fish out on a piece of wood, like a plank, a little small dock at the back of the scum bar. When I got off my boat, I was looking directly at the back of the scum bar, and the bird was there picking away at something, and I was like, oh my, like attention to detail, like immediately, like holy shit. I went, like, there's a part where Guybrush gets thrown underwater and tied to like a heavy thing that is keeping him there, like they cemented his feet kind of thing. And there's all these like knives and stuff around him that are just out of reach, so he can't cut himself out. I went underwater where that is, and they literally had all those bits were still there, including like the same color starfish. And this is like under the water. Like you'd have to go there and know that to go there. All of the like characters, the men of low moral fiber, Mancomb Seep Good, the guy with the loom badge, all these people are there, and like some of the dialogue is the same. And what you're doing, I guess, in this, I don't know what you call it, like free add-on pack for a free game, is basically doing like point and click game quests. Like I don't know if Sea of Thieves does this stuff usually, or if you're usually just attacking mobs of baddies or whatever. But apart from there's one combat encounter, and it's near the end of it, and even then it's themed and very, very short. But for the most part, you're like, trying to get the cook to get out of the kitchen by helping him cook something. So you have to go and find all those objects. You have to go into the shop and find a way to purchase this item, and go here and do this for this person. And like, there's one point where you're trying to like build a skeleton, and you have to go find the skeleton parts and unlock this. And so it's like all just quests, I guess, that you get in one of these games. And I think the one thing I will say that I didn't enjoy was there's one part of the game where you have to collect pieces of 8, which is kind of a reference to like, this did happen a bit in Monkey Island 1 and in 2 as well. The joke at the start of 2 is you start with all of this money, and you immediately get shaken off the edge of a bridge, and you lose all your money, because it would have been like the easiest game otherwise. But you have to do a lot of like finding pieces of 8 in random, like on top of barrels and hidden in crates and stuff. And I probably spent a quarter of my time playing this game just fucking going to every single object in this game trying to see if there's a piece of 8 in it, which was so annoying. That was the only thing that I was like, it's a good thing I enjoyed this world and walking around in it, because this is so irritating. So I hope they patch that and just put in more pieces of 8, or maybe with a group of people you do it faster, because you've got 4 people running around looking for the pieces of 8. I don't know. That was the one thing that I found annoying. But the story's good. Dominic Armato is doing Guybrush. They have great voice actors for everyone else. The scripts are surprisingly funny and good, considering this is, presumably not, Ron Gilbert wasn't involved, according to him on Twitter. He didn't know about this until they announced it. So I'm not sure. I doubt Dave Grossman was involved then, if that was the case. But this is presumably all done by people at Rare in England, who I imagine a lot of them grew up playing these games like I did. And thankfully, they did a great job. Mechanically, some of the puzzles are a little bit tricky. If you haven't played much Sea of Thieves, like there's one part where you have to use like a special crank to get something out of the water. But the first Monkey Island, it took me and my brother like 3 months to complete. Like, these games are hard to figure out. I will say there was 1 or 2 times where I just wanted to know the solution, or I couldn't figure out where something was, and I just Googled it, and there was a guide that had the whole thing, and I just went, I just looked at that and went, yeah, that's what I was trying to do, but I guess the game didn't know that that's what I was trying to do, and I fixed it. So yeah, I've had an absolute blast with this thing.
That's cool. I've never played Sea of Thieves, the base game, at all. It always kind of interested me, and in the same way that when we talked about Valheim, like just the experience of getting on a boat with your friends and going to explore is just like, that's just like a fun, like a good video game is one someone can say in a sentence, hey, like, would you play a game where you like got on a boat with your friends and went to like pirate islands? And that's such a good elevator pitch. I need to check it out at some point.
Yeah, the moment to moment of like regular Sea of Thieves, I think, is very tonally different to this. Because it is that. It's more like, rubbing your belly and patting your head. Like, somebody has to be doing the sails, and someone has to be turning, and someone has to be like getting cannons and putting them into the, cannons or cannonballs and putting them in a cannon, and someone has to fire them. And then there's a kraken coming out of the water. And then there's another group of people, you know, you're trying to get the gold, but then another group of online people come over and they're trying to get you. So like it's like this dynamic sandbox of piracy. And you go to like, you know, these islands and you get quests and to like find, you know, dig up this treasure, and you go to your map and you look and all this sort of stuff. This is just like straight up, you're just walking around this town for 3 hours, which I don't know if that's in any Sea of Thievesy stuff. So it was perfect for me though, because I think if they had attempted, I guess, and who knows, like maybe the next 2 parts there's a bit more of that, but if they had attempted to like cram in a lot of the Sea of Thieves being on a boat stuff, because, you know, the irony of Monkey Island games that you spend very little time on pirate ships, actually. Especially pirate ships that aren't docked. Like, I think in the first game, there's a whole sequence where you're out at sea and you're trying to find Monkey Island, but generally you're at these various islands. Actually, you're not seafaring very much at all. So I'm glad they didn't try and like maybe do too much of that in there. I'm really impressed by this thing. It's free, so it's impossible not to recommend it. But, you know, I don't know what the final runtime of the whole thing would have been, but I would definitely have paid money to have played this. It's super good. I don't know if you're not a Secret of Monkey Island fan, whether or not this is going to be amazing to you. I'm sure if you're a Sea of Thieves fan, it probably is cool to get all this extra content, but yeah, I think it's pretty fantastic. Looking at the I guess, what are they called? The synopsis of the 3 parts here. The first tale is called Journey to Melee Island. An ambitious new arrival at the outpost is seeking to help down Guybrush Threepwood, who disappeared while sailing to the Sea of Thieves via the Sea of the Damned. You'll journey to the fabled Melee Island, where Guybrush is now revered as the legendary pirate of unparalleled talents. Clearly something is very wrong. The second one says, your adventures on Melee Island are just the beginning. Prepare yourself to tackle taxing trials, prove your worth at insult sword fighting, and more. So that sounds like it's just the next chapter of what kind of happens in Secret of Monkey Island, where you meet the guys at the circus and do the 3 trials for the pirates and all that sort of stuff. And then the last one says, the final chapter of The Legend of Monkey Island is on its way to Sea of Thieves. That the time will soon come to journey with Guybrush to the scenic secret of Monkey Island, where a final showdown with LeChuck awaits you in the pirate lair deep underground. But first, there's a little manner of getting inside. So that sounds like when you get to Monkey Island at the end of Secret. So it sounds like it's just like 3 chapters that are basically 3 of the fun parts from Secret of Monkey Island. Which, hey, look, as a guy who has the fucking poster behind him, maybe this was a good one for me. There you go.
Sounds good. I like it.
Yeah, that's it. Monkey Island. Frank, from monkeys to burgers.
Yes.
Our Sneak King documentary, our Burger King video game documentary, we've already interviewed some developers for it. Jeremy's been filming boxes and doing great work. But you were out there, man on the streets, getting to the bottom of the real story. Frank, tell us what you were up to on the weekend.
Yeah, I was very excited when we announced you're doing a Burger King documentary, because I'm very close to someone who is, I feel like, such a core part of this game's legacy. So my friend Leroy Patterson, who has done online stuff for a while, like in the early 2000s, he used to do like backyard wrestling and like stunt videos, and he's done reality TV show stuff. For now I know, he a few years ago, he randomly decided to become the biggest Sneak King collector in the world. So he has a prize collection of over 4,000 copies of Sneak King on the Xbox 360.
Dear
he does
Lord.
not. He does not care about Pocket Bite Racer or Big Bumper or whatever the hell.
Big Bumpin'.
But Big Bumpin', which I now found out. Leroy has access to a press kit for Burger King Sneak King games that were sent exclusively to Burger King managers, and I think the original title of Big Bumpin' was Burger Bumpers.
That's pretty good.
That's what it was. That's what it was being promoted as when they were sending them out. So he has over 4,000 copies. So I visited his house. In addition to just Sneak King, he has like one of the biggest game collections I've ever seen in my life. I would even dare say his collection is even bigger than the Completionist. When I visited the Completionist office, I was like, this is pretty cool. Leroy's collection of games is amazing. So it was fun talking to Leroy about that. And then, we flooded his game collection room with all the Sneak King copies. We built a throne of Sneak King copies, and I interviewed him for so long about Sneak King and Burger King games and more. And then in addition to that, I also wanted to know. I asked Leroy like, how do you find your copies? And he had some good stories. But we went retro game hunting that day also. So we went to 3 different shops, and on the 3rd store, we found a copy of Sneak King in the wild for $1. So
thank God. I was like, if it's gonna cost him $10 a pop, that guy's gonna. Those are his retirement Sneak Kings. You filmed all that stuff too, right? Of the shopping.
Yeah, it was very, very loose B-roll of the shopping
Awesome.
stuff, but yeah, we got a lot. It was also fun too because like we say, like especially during the COVID years, like we spent so much time on our computers editing stuff. So any time there's an opportunity to go film stuff in the real world, it's so exciting.
Right.
And I've noticed like things have definitely changed compared to when I used to make YouTube videos a decade ago. I was filming in a Burger King, I was filming in a book off, and no one cared.
Yeah,
When you would pull out a camera a decade ago, it would be like, what are you guys doing? What are you kids doing? Now it's like, I feel like I'm older than the people working. They don't care, or they just assume these days everyone's a vlogger, everyone's making TikTok. It's so ubiquitous, and but it was like, I'm usually kind of defensive. I used to, do guerrilla stuff with Mega 64, and old people would yell at us for filming in front of a Costco, like the most benign stuff ever. But I don't know. So it was kind of like reassuring, like, I don't know. I felt very comfortable and confident just filming in game stores. And so now I have all this random B-roll, and I don't know. It felt very fun. It was also nice to hang out with Leroy, and also working with Leroy. He's done reality TV. He's done YouTube stuff. So he was so camera ready, and just the way he was answering his questions, it was such a breeze and genuinely fun. But I'm excited. Like, I can't wait to edit this because this is such a goofy like story segment that I'm excited that we're gonna be able to put it up on Noclip, and it's gonna be such a nice little piece of the Burger King saga.
Yeah, you kind of can't tell this. The whole point of this documentary is that like this is this meme that exists within gaming culture, and we want to like tell the story, I guess, of the reality behind it, but also we need to like reflect on that meme quality of it too. Jeremy, how do you feel about filming some Burger King burgers? Like, I was looking up to see if there's any Burger King. There used to be a Burger King in your town there, but it looks like it's permanently shut down. There's a couple in Santa Rosa. Have you ever done pack shots of food before?
No, but I feel like I have. I've put a Nintendo DS on a little rotating dais. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
I feel like burgers are just like a step away from that.
I do have one of those rotating platforms here in the studio somewhere.
If you leave a big sloppy burger on it, I'll stop by and film it.
This is definitely going to have to be a scenario where you have to go buy the burger.
Yeah, so it's fresh.
So it's fresh.
Yeah.
We can't have. You can expense it. Don't worry.
Thank God. I was really
get some fries.
How much is I was gonna say a Big Mac, but what's the
Let's
Whopper?
all guess how much a Whopper is now. I'm gonna say $2.
I'm gonna say $7.
Oh my. Okay. Burger King, Big Mac. Let's just type that Whopper. So that's even is it a Whopper? It's a Whopper.
Yeah, it's a Whopper.
Burger King
Big Mac. And I mean,
Burger King
technically,
Big
it is
Mac.
the Big Mac of Burger King.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got $4.19 here. Is that what you're seeing?
Whoa.
Oh wait,
19.
No.
The Impossible one is it $7?
Yeah, I think I got a chicken sandwich and it was like $6.49. So prices have soared.
Yeah, Junior Whopper $4.99. This is marketing food online. Can I just get BurgerKing.com, please?
I'm trying to order delivery, but they're asking for my address. I'm gonna accidentally order myself.
Just read your credit card number out over the.
Just gonna put in. I'm putting in a San Francisco zip code, so I'm definitely gonna get the most expensive burger possible.
Yeah, they're gonna gouge you.
Flame grilled burgers, Whopper. Jesus fuck.
How much?
$9.79. Is that right?
Ooh.
I'm typing in a more advantageous. I'm gonna go with an Oregon code and see if that makes it different. Yeah, we'll do Oregon.
You think
pickup.
they're gouging us here? I got $7.29 for my Whopper here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Man, they really are local, aren't they? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe get some fries. We'll do. I mean, I think we should literally do the stand-ups when I'm eating a burger.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what the intro of this video is. So maybe we'll just do it together.
Okay, that's perfect.
We'll go film a burger together. That's gonna be a fun little podcast. That's gonna be a fun little video. We're working on. There's that and Dwarf Fortress are the ones that are getting worked on at the moment. I am knee deep in Tarn Adams interviews at the moment. There's some really good stuff in there. Thanks for filming that, Frank. Looking forward to seeing your edit of that bit.
Me too.
And,
I'm so psyched for that.
Yeah, get the rest of it together. I played another game which has quite a weird name, I'll be honest. I'm going to try and say it now. It's called yeah, this is all caps, by the way. It's called, yeah, you want those games, in quotation marks, right? So here you go. Now let's see you clear them. So this game is, do you ever see those ads that are either before, I don't know what they're before. They're probably before YouTube videos. I feel like I see them a lot on mobile ads. It's like a game where it's like, oh, there's a couple of different genres of these games. One is like, oh, it's a castle, and there's like these walls you can move, and there's jewels behind one wall, and there's like lava there, and you have to pull them out in the right order. And then have you seen these?
Yeah. Or the one where it's like it's frustratingly bad is the point of the advertisement, is that it makes you want to. They're so bad at solving it. You're like, I have to download this game and do it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like it's like a genre of, yes, and the way they advertise them is like, these are, yes, the person doing them is just an idiot. So basically, that's the whole premise of this game, which came out last week, is, yeah, you want those games, right? So here you go. Now let's see you clear them. So it's basically like, we have made all those games. Some of those games have probably existed. I don't know. A lot of them are like bait and switches, and they're not actually those types of games, or like match 3 games or whatever. They just went and made like maybe 5 different genres of those games. There's like 5 different of those types of games that you've seen on those tiny shitty web ads. And then they have like 50 versions of each one. So they have like, you go through 1 to 5, and it's straight up like super vivid menus, and like, just the screen has like 1 to 50, and you click on one and you do it, and they're like, yeah, you did it under this time, next one, go. It's very like, I don't know, WarioWare or something. It's very like, colorful round buttons and mini games and all that sort of stuff. And it's those games, and it's fun. I don't know what to say. It's $10. It's a stupid game that is an obvious joke. One of them is like parking your car, because you've seen that one, right? There's like the parking your car game, and they're like, oh, they fucking did it wrong. How would you do it? And then there's another one where you pick up money, and then you click a button to make the money turn into like a ladder, or sorry, a stairway, so you can get above like things that are in your way, like a gap in the ground or a cone. And then you have to get to the end with enough money that you can make the stairway to your spouse in your house. It's just like the weirdest shit, but they've made actual fun levels out of it.
Jesus Christ. All right, I have a brilliant idea based on this game. You ready for this?
Okay. Yes.
In like Law and Order episodes, when Ice-T goes to interview the perp's son or whatever, and he's like, I can't talk right now, I'm playing games. And Ice-T's like, yeah, he's playing Cop Killer 20. Like, I want to make those games. I want to make a collection of games, and it's a real version of all the shitty throwaway fake video games from Law and Order.
Or do you ever remember the X-Files VR game?
No. What is this?
Yeah, there's an episode of X-Files that takes place in, let me see if I'm remembering this right. Alex Austin was telling me about this again recently. It takes place in like a sort of an AR, VR, like paintball arena, or not paintball. What's the other stuff where it's just like
airsoft?
Little ball, airsoft. Yeah, something like, or like a laser tag maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. And it's like, and then there's one where like it's like a VR game, but all you're doing is like standing behind a wall shooting at people, and then there's like, I think, a sexy lady who tries to kill you in the VR world, and it kills you in real world.
Okay, I have heard of this, and there's one very particular reason, because William Gibson wrote this episode of the X-Files.
Oh, you're right. You talked, yes, I feel like you talked about this like 2 years ago.
I feel like we talked about this
podcast,
like drunk 7 years ago or something.
It's ringing a bell now, yeah.
That's so weird. I don't know if I've seen this one. Much to the chagrin of all X-Files heads, Danny cringed when I told him this. I got really sick right when I quit GameSpot and watched all of the X-Files for the first time, and I skipped all of the Monster of the Week episodes. I just wanted to know what happened with
God.
I just wanted the smoking man and the aliens.
Which I used to skip all those.
I know, yeah.
I only wanted the Monster of the Week ones, yeah. It was Kill Switch was the name of the episode.
Yeah. It
was co-written by William Gibson and Tom Maddox. They also wrote another episode, season 7's first-person shooter. So I think I was getting them confused. I think there's 2 different ones.
Okay.
That are both terrible video games. That's amazing. Who's Tom Maddox? Tom Maddox wrote a novel called Halo, which is not based on the video games at all. No relation at all. Man. Yeah, all those ones. Or like I guess there is priors. The opening sequence of Hackers uses a sort of proto Wipeout 2097 or Wipeout XL or just general Wipeout, I guess, game, which was done by, I forget how that happened. It came up in our Wipeout documentary, which is still in production. We've only talked to Cold Storage. We need to get more people to come on the record with us. But I think they had done that for, which would have been Psygnosis back then. I think they did that for Sony. They made that like fake Wipeout kind of. It was like a ball bouncing down a channel kind of thing. It made no sense. It was just, some cyberpunk ass looking stuff. But yeah, if you want to play that game, it's $10. Can't go wrong.
I can't remember who. Speaking of fake video games, the game from Grandma's Boy, Demonic, was. I can't remember who was posting about this. I wish I could. It was a while ago, but there was a real game dev who posted and was like, I was working on the game that's in Grandma's Boy when it was a real game before they used it in the movie.
What's Grandma's Boy?
I should have explained for you. You've never seen Grandma's Boy? It's like one of the it's one of the only mainstream comedies that's about video games development. So I assumed you would have seen it.
Oh no, I've never seen this.
Really?
What?
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, look at this poster. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like a 2005 like movie that stars all of Adam Sandler's friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a stoner comedy from the mid 2000s. I am sure that it aged horribly.
I've never. I don't think this like made. That it's like SNL. There's some things that just never got to Europe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
This does have a very SNL flavor to it as well. Yeah, 15% Rotten Tomatoes, 85% audience score.
Oh boy. Cost $5 million to make and got 6.6 million back. So
all right, well,
we'll call it a W.
Yeah.
I'm sure the marketing was more than that.
Anyway, they play a fake video. There's like a super game dev in it who dresses like he's in the Matrix, and he has like his office where no one can come in, and you open it. And Aphex
is his
Twin
name Robot?
Is his name Robot? I haven't seen this movie in so long.
Robot Boy.
I don't know. That doesn't sound right, but it's been so long that I can't refute it in any meaningful way. But if they like walk into his office and he's like in his big like reclining super chair dressed like Morpheus, listening to Aphex Twin and playing Demonic, a fake video game that apparently was worked on by real game devs before it was canned.
Demonic. There was somebody else who popped up on Twitter who said that they had made the Egg game from I Think You Should Leave.
I haven't seen that.
Have you watched that with Tim Robinson, right? The comedy show on Netflix. I gotta say, have you seen it, Frank? You're nodding.
Yeah, it's like season 3, episode 3, I think.
It's fucking so funny. It's just this little flash game he's playing where he has to feed. What is he doing? He's feeding the egg.
You just have to feed the egg. Like that's all it is. Like the premise of the sketch is like a guy at work, clearly not working, and his manager's coming in. And he's like, I can't. I'm feeding the egg, and it's like the most ridiculous flash game that gets cruder and cruder as the sketch goes on.
And nothing works. Like he feeds it, and then 40 eggs disappear, and he's like, "What? You have to. I'll send it to you afterwards." But that is a real game, and then the guy uploaded it to like the web, so you can play it yourself if you want, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned, what was the original Big Bumpin' name?
Burger Bumpers.
Burger
I think
I wonder if that was because Burger Time. I wonder if there was like an IP issue there where they're like, two word name with burger being the first one might have been a bit like, not worth the effort. So let's call it something else. Big Bumpin'. I mean, with a rose under any other name, who knows? Good old Big Bumpin'. I've been making my way through these DVDs as well. We put up the Sony conference last week, and people seem to really like that. On the Noclip archive, the videotape archive. I am getting it up on archive.org at the moment. I'm just rendering out one that has all the 4 audio channels on it, which is a little tricky. I've never done that before. I'm usually used to mastering down audio, not like leaving it all there. So I'm working on that. And the other thing I found was I was going through a bunch of the boxes, and did I mention this last week about the press kits? I forget. Maybe I did.
I don't think so.
I can't remember if it was on the podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I said it privately. Underneath one of the boxes full of mini DV tapes, there was like a false floor, which I guess was to keep all the stuff underneath it safe. And there was like maybe 40 press kits from E3 2004 of varying degrees of content and quality. Some of them are just like straight up, dumps of screenshots and press releases and things like that. Some of them have like a flash wrapper, so you go in and you hit this like SWF file, and it loads up like a terrible interface that has like click on the button and then click on the video, and it loads the video, and it's all in Flash. But they all run off the disk, so I've just copied them off the disk. So I'm just going to upload those ones straight to archive.org, and people can check them out. A lot of the videos in these are horrifically low quality, you know what I mean? So there's almost no point. I think with no point in putting them on YouTube, because like they'll be on the archive versions. What I'm going to do is maybe I've been extracting some of them. So some of them are on DVDs. So I had the DVDs converted to MKVs. I was using Handbrake to get them into MP4 and then exporting them for YouTube. But the MKVs I pulled off the DVDs, I'm just going to upload those, because you can run those. They just don't run on. You can't upload MKVs to YouTube. It won't take them. So that'll work for those. But for some of the other bits, I'm going through and extracting, like if there's screenshots in there, I'm uploading those to Moby Games. Just getting them online, so they're somewhere. There's a couple of cancelled games in there as well, some trailers for, which is pretty neat. Games that were in production in E3 2004 that just never came out. There's a couple of cool ones in there. There's a Gran Turismo press pack for GT4, which is pretty neat. There was one which is weird. It was a tabula rasa one that had literally nothing on the disc. Like they forgot to actually write this disc,
which is,
so it was like
that's really appropriate for tabula rasa.
You're right.
Yeah, it was a blank slate.
Oh my god!
Unbelievable. Is that some sort of meta marketing tactic? They're like, hey, we got the disc, but it seems like it's some sort of blank slate, and then they're just like, is it?
Outrageous. That is, I can't believe I didn't think of it. That is genius, Jeremy Jane. There's so much copy on the back of the pamphlet with it, saying about all the weird music that's on this thing, that I doubt it was intentional. But I had to try it in like 5 different players to be like, is there definitely nothing on this? And I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, there's nothing on it. It doesn't even play in a CD player. It's just fucking an empty disc, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, is it? I guess tabula rasa, but whatever. I'm sure Richard Garriott, if he's listening, apologies, Lord British. So there's I'm making my way through a bunch of those at the moment. I think it's Xenosaga 2. There's a pretty cool trailer. There's a cool Tekken 5 trailer in there as well. Some really cool ones. But yeah, everyone was losing their minds. We got a lot of press last week. We're on Kotaku and PC Gamer. I got interviewed by Jeremy Winslow as well for that Kotaku piece. People were really into the Sony one. I think it was because it was just such a. It is like the ultimate E3 conference.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah. Just memes and games and all that stuff. So lots of requests coming in from people as well for other conferences. I know there's a bunch on the mini DV tapes. I'm working to get a good capture solution for that, because you kind of need to use iLink. What's it called? Firewire. You need to use for that to make sure you get the digital signal. So I'm trying to get good Firewire to HDMI converters. That's the world I'm living in. It's like back when I was first doing video and fucking hated using Firewire, and I'm back there again. So not too bad. I think that's it. Any other games you guys play?
I beat Castlevania Symphony of the Night,
nice.
which, looking at my save file, it was only like 13 hours. It's not a very long game, but it was amazing. It was so good. Playing on that recent PS4 remaster edition. But the coolest thing about it is there's Symphony of the Night on that same collection as Rondo of Blood. And I was like, sure, let's try this out. I didn't exactly know what Rondo of Blood was. It turns out it was exclusively released on the PC Engine in like 1993 or something like that. It was eventually like demade as Castlevania X on Super Nintendo, which I had played that version. But playing the original PC Engine edition of the game, it opens with like the most gorgeous anime cutscenes.
Oh,
like
really?
it has straight up anime cutscenes on it. The soundtrack of Rondo of Blood might be one of the coolest soundtracks I've ever heard. It is so Symphony of the Night soundtrack's amazing, but Rondo of Blood has more of that early. It's not a Genesis game, but that more funky bass. It is amazing, and you're playing as, I think, it's not Alucard, Richard or whatever. I don't know the character's name very well. The guy with the chain, but you can unlock Maria, so you can play the game as like this little girl who's throwing like cats and birds and musical notes. So all of a sudden, it's a very gothic castle game. You unlock this secret character Maria, and now you're running around a castle as like a girl hauling cute shit at monsters, and it's
Perfect for Frank.
Yeah, so I want to play more of it before I talk about it, but just seeing the anime cutscenes is mind-blowing. It is extremely good. So,
how are you playing this? What's it on?
PS5, so I guess
cool.
2 years ago they remastered Symphony of the Night and Rondo and Blood in like a double pack. So I recommend it. It's so good.
What is a Rondo? What is
I don't know, is Rondo is that a musical note or something
know.
like music rhythm of blood?
I thought it was going to be
maybe?
Japanese, so I looked it up, and the name was Chino Rondo, which means Rondo of Blood. Oh, you're right. Musical form with a recurring leading theme often found in the final movement of a sonata or a concerto.
What was the Psychonauts thing again?
Which one?
The Psychonauts Rhombus of Ruin.
Oh, Rondo of Ruin.
Rhombus of Ruin.
Yeah,
It was a reference.
That's cool. Yeah,
Hot
and
reference.
I've always wanted to check out Rondo of Blood. It came up in what the hell, Tokimeki Memorial, the Tim Rogers Tokimeki video. He was talking about how was it like Ika's partner was working on Tokimeki, and so there was like crossover between Rondo and Tokimeki. Yeah, I've always wanted to check it out.
I think what it was is Iga was working on Tokimeki Memorial, but he kept wanting to play Rondo of Blood, and as he was playing Rondo of Blood, he was like, that's where he was thinking of how to do Symphony of the Night. But yeah, Rondo of Blood has the same high quality anime like cutesiness that was in Tokimeki, and it's surreal playing this because the one thing I really like about Rondo of Blood is I was so nervous playing these older Castlevania games because I thought it would be like Nintendo games where you get to level 4, you die, you have to start from the very beginning. The game is generous to where, say you get to stage 2, you lose all your lives, you start at stage 2. So, and same thing, 3, 4. So you don't reset all your progress, you just go back to the beginning. And once you master it, you can clear a level in like 5 or 6 minutes. So it's once I learned the rhythm, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. So I do want to stick with it. And I looked it up. It is this collection's called Castlevania Requiem. It has Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood together. I think I got it for $20, but it's absolutely well worth it.
Excellent. There's a bunch of Iga interviews. I'm not sure interviews. He's popped up in a couple of the videos. I have one Konami press conference from 2006 that he's in, but I'm waiting to find the other half of it before I put it up because I think it's never been shown online before. It's never been broadcast before. And I know Kojima's in it too, but he's not in the first half. And it also has a horrific comedian doing MC. It is unbelievably cringeworthy.
No.
It's so bad. So I can't wait to get it up.
Oh, no.
But he is in there a bunch. Archibald did a great interview with him years ago when he was working on, was it Bloodstained, I think was the game?
Bloodstained.
Actually, speaking of retro games, I totally forgot about this. I played the new, remember that thing I told you about, Antstream Arcade? That thing where you could play a bunch of old Amiga and Spectrum and Commodore 64 and Amstrad games on the Xbox. So I got it. It came out last week. I'll say there's parts of it I really love and there's parts of it that just do not work. You can buy it in 2 different formats. It's $30 for a year's access, or you can buy the lifetime pass, which is $80. So it's not cheap. You're getting 1,300 games, but you're paying for each one of them, I guess. The interface for it is totally cool, fine. They have like tournaments in there for people if you're interested in like trying to get like do speed runs or get the highest score or whatever in some of these games. The main reason I wanted to play it is there's about 100 Amiga games on there, and I'm a big Amiga fan. The issue that I have had, and I have tried my best to play it at different times of the day and at different I guess just different times of the day, I guess, and different days. The way this thing works is that it's streaming the games over the Azure cloud, basically, Microsoft's Azure thing that we covered it in our Microsoft Flight Simulator documentary, for instance. So you're there streaming these games, which is kind of weird because streaming video of these games, I mean, these games are like 4 megabytes. You know what I mean? Like Amiga, and less. Like the Amstrad games are like 1 megabyte. Some of these Amiga games are like less than 2 megs. So considering that, it seems like the video compression, you know, itself is probably much higher than that, you know, after a couple of seconds. So I don't know quite why they're doing it that way. I get maybe it's a legal thing. I don't know, with the ROMs, they can't have them on the machines. I have no idea. But that's how they're doing it. And sometimes there's zero issues with that whatsoever. Like I was playing Battle Chess, which is just chess, but there's animations when you kill people. I used to love it when I was a kid. Played some Battle Chess yesterday. Super good. I played some Sensible Soccer, and like I've played probably more Sensible Soccer than probably any game I've ever played. Grew up playing it. I have multiple copies of it. I've played the Xbox Live Arcade version for years when it came out. I'm a huge Sensible Soccer fan. That game is basically unplayable on the system. because there's about somewhere, I don't know, feels like it's between 300 and 600 millisecond delay. And when you're playing SWAS, like you need to that stuff. The movements in that game is burned into my brain since I was 8 years old. So I can play that game blind, and it's just you can feel it right away. And it's even me being able to like sort of do it ahead of time almost, so I can get around it. It makes it impossible. And then the other issue is because of the way that game works, like a game like Battle Chess, where basically everything's static and then something in the corner moves. Sensible Soccer, the entire screen is moving all the time because you're going up and down a soccer pitch, and the grass detail is like different pixel by pixel. So oftentimes the video compression just has a fucking hard time with it. And a game that basically should look super crisp because it's, an Amiga game with like very big pixels starts to look washy as well. And I've had that happen in a couple of games, like Brutal Football was hard to play. Speedball 2 was another one that was difficult to play. So some of them are totally fine, you'd never notice. But like even Soccer Kid, which is like a platformer that I really like playing, it's kind of hard. Like some of these games are hard to, like they're hardcore. Like, you die really easily if you get hit by something. Like Zool I was even playing, and there was just too much delay on the input. So I will say I'm playing this on the west coast of America, which is maybe the least likely place for Amiga fans to live. So I don't know if this thing worked probably better in Europe, maybe in England or Germany. I had other people on my timeline say that they lived in California and that they had a better experience with it. So that's why I kept trying to play it to see if there was different times of day or anything where it felt good. I mean, not that you should have to like schedule a time of day to play a fucking Amiga game so it doesn't run badly. So I'd say I would love to be able to recommend this thing, but for the price you're paying for it, considering I could just easily emulate these games and they would run perfectly and have no artifacting and no delay issues, and it would cost you nothing, just a bit of time and energy, it's hard to recommend it. I'm going to keep trying it. I have a lifetime pass after all, so I'm stuck with it. I like the idea of it, and I getting access to somebody, and I played a bunch of games on here that like I haven't played before that I know are require less of a speed or whatever, so it's not so much of an issue. I will say Sensible Soccer is maybe the worst case scenario for this system. A lot of the games on here are, I guess there's some arcade games, fighting games, which might struggle, but a lot of them don't require that constant action, so maybe it's the worst possible example. But even games like Mortal Kombat, you can feel it a little bit, like the delay in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bummer. It's funny you mentioned the paid model the like incremental pay model versus the buying it outright, because I had a tiny idea for a game last week that in my head would be multiplayer, and I was like, I wonder how feasible it is for an indie developer to, because obviously they're small scale multiplayer games. So I took the last 3 days to basically learn how to implement networked multiplayer.
Cool.
And I have worked my way through 3 different multiplayer solutions. I implemented UGS via Relay, stripped the entire thing out, implemented Photon's Pun 2. Photon is a very popular one, and then I implemented a different version of Photon just to see how they worked and stuff and kind of learn how networking stuff works. And I, as someone who is very averse to like games as live service, and if there's like a free-to-play game and there's like a bunch of cosmetics, I'm the type of person who's like, I don't have to engage with it a bit. Like it really kills the vibe for me. Working on this stuff and looking at the price of server costs for X number of concurrent users and how it adds up, and just like looking at the economics of it, especially for Unities, which is way more expensive than Photons, which is why I switched over. At one point, I was like, "Oh my god! Like these costs, you'd have to like invent some sort of digital commodity to like sell to people to make this decision." And I was like, oh no, I've just like by learning how to do netcode, I've been like tricked into reinventing digital commodities. And I was like, all right, fuck. I guess like, it's easy to sit here on the sidelines and be like, oh, Apex Legends would be like pure, man, if they didn't have all these cosmetics. And then you start inventing an online game, you're like, oh god, I gotta get some cosmetics in here.
So this is like the number one conversation we've had with publishers about Stunt Derby. Oh, really? Which is because Stunt Derby is an online game, indie game, a multiplayer game largely, and people are like, how do the servers work? How many people, the first question they ask is how many people are in a game. And what they're actually asking is how many people can you get into one instance of this thing, spend a fortune on server costs. I was talking to Alex about this again during the week, and he was telling me that apparently the BattleBit Remastered developers did an AMA on Reddit where they talked about the fact that they are running dedicated servers.
Yeah.
So they have, like, I don't know how big, but I am assuming bills of hundreds of thousands of dollars or something like that to keep that game up. Like, they are spending a shit ton of money to keep that game up. And they, of course, because Steam takes like 3 months to pay out, they're basically like in the hole at the moment. I haven't read the thing yet, but like when he told me that, I was like, oh no, I didn't realize that that's what they were doing. They were doing all that themselves because it costs a fortune. And that's basically why, because we're talking to publishers. We've been talking to publishers for months, and a lot of the publishers will be like, okay, what's your strategy for multiplayer? Like, how are you doing cosmetics, how are you doing DLC packs, how are you doing all this sort of stuff? And the reason why they're asking that question is the same reason the BattleBit guys can hopefully move to a model that doesn't require them to use all dedicated servers, because the people only buy the game once and they get all that money at the start. And if all those people keep playing month after month after month, those servers still have to be up and they're not getting any more money for that game. And that's how you end up losing a shit ton of money. And lots of people have lost a shit ton of money on these types of games, and that's why these games disappear. It's why they get taken down off the, stores and stuff, because like some publisher, like, I think of I imagine like Battleborn or something. You know what I mean? Like all these games that have existed. Any of these games that require you to be online and play with other people, they're bleeding money. It's not a case they can just leave the game up there. It's because they all use dedicated servers. So you're screwed. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, the thing that I was trying to figure out is if you can do, like, I'm still, because this is all new to me and I don't know anything about like netcode. I was trying to figure out what the service is that you're paying for, because in my head I was trying to figure out why you couldn't just do a client side hosted game. You couldn't have, which
is what Stunt Derby is.
Right. Okay. So I I think I need to fix Alex's brain about this, right. Because the thing that's difficult is then you have the like NAT, the NAT thing, and it's like you have to yes. navigate the ports to like connect yes. people, and then if you do it directly, then you can open people up to malicious bullshit if someone like runs malicious code on someone else's computer and stuff.
You can, because people can get access to IP addresses that way.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out like if there's a save. I feel like I need to pick Alex's brain. I have like access to this brilliant game developer who's been around for years doing this. I don't know why I haven't emailed him yet.
Right. Yeah, you should. Yeah, because that's the question we've had, which is all of our stuff is server. I mean, you can spin up a dedicated server. Like we have the executable that you can run on your machine that will spin up a dedicated server and just have your computer be a dedicated server. You could do that if you want. I would probably spin up a couple of those around the world or whatever, but largely it's like Counter-Strike. It's the reason why I keep bring up Counter-Strike, is that the games are hosted by people, and maybe people who are really into the game will host a dedicated server for their friends and maybe put a password on it. But like when you hit that server browser on Counter-Strike, you know that that's all just random people hosting games.
Yeah.
And you know that results may vary, and that you need to pick one that has a good ping, and we need to do a better job of surfacing that on Stunt Derby, because all of the physics calculations, including your car's controls, are done on the server. So that means that when we have those big physics crashes, it's not like there's no like netcode that's guessing what's happening and reverting back and doing all that sort of stuff. It's literally just happening in one place, and then it's happening on the clients as a reflection of that, a mirror of that. But the issue is that so are your controls. So sometimes you have people, we had Brazilians playing the demo who are on European servers, and they had like a 500 millisecond delay. It's me playing Sensible's fucking soccer on A-Stream, not A-Stream. What's it called?
Antstream,
not A-Stream. A-Stream is also great though if you want to watch sports illegally. So they feel like the game is laggy, or they don't realize the game's like, they feel like the controls are broken.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, the game doesn't. So we need to do a better job of like surfacing that this is a high ping server. Maybe don't be here. Maybe go to a different one. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But I think the way he has been doing it, he might be using the Steam, what do you call it, friends stuff, or something like that.
The Steam API has like a bunch of tools for doing and stuff like that.
I think so.
Yeah, I was actually I was looking into that yesterday. It's less complicated than I thought, because I thought it'd be fun to be able to put a build on Steam to just like test with friends, because I just made my first like internet multiplayer prototype, so I just want to like easily distribute it to friends to test it and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Also, just to give people an idea of, so Photon's cost for, if you have 100 concurrent users, it's $95 a month. So it's like almost a dollar a month per concurrent user, which doesn't seem that high. But if you made a game that was perpetually playable, like in my mind, the game that I'm working on is a game people would play for 3 to 5 hours as a co-op story experience, and then it'd be over, which is less of a problem. Because you might have like 1 month where you have 20,000 people playing it if you're lucky, and then it falls off. But if you made a game that was like endlessly playable, like an arena FPS, and you have 2,000 concurrent users on Photon's older service, it's almost $400 a month just to keep the game running.
Right.
So that's just like, it's a real burn rate. If you got a small number of dedicated players and no one else bought it, you would just be like pissing away all your profit.
Yeah, totally. Especially if your margin was tight like that.
Yeah.
That would be quite a lot to do. Would also stop you from doing things like sales, maybe, if you're going to always suffer that on the back end of it.
True.
Yeah, it's interesting. Learning about the mechanics and the financial mechanics of this stuff has been super interesting. We're pretty close to getting our deal signed. We kind of have like, we have multiple suitors at the moment. We're kind of down to the wire on some of this stuff. But it's been fascinating just learning the finances of all this. And I've really enjoyed learning about, like, you know, publishers and VCs money and independent indie funds and self-funding and how much of a cut everyone takes. Like, I think Steam taking that cut is fucking criminal. I think it's so unbelievably bad, given what they really give you. And like, we've been working with Steam a lot and doing all the keys and all this sort of stuff, but the 30% is just like absolutely outrageous in my head, but whatever. And that's before you got to pay everyone else, right? So it's a real, like, you get down, it's a real long game thing where you're like, you're not thinking about how much you're getting per unit. You're thinking how many units this will sell over the course of a year, how much work goes into it, how many people you are paying, who's got equity in it, all that sort of stuff. So
yeah. After tax, publisher, server costs, like any other people along the way, it really, really cuts down the bulk of that income.
Totally, yeah. Recoup, all that sort of stuff. It's really wild. And like you said, the server stuff just adds like a huge issue to all of it, you know. Especially remember we did the Rocket League doc, like our first ever one. I forget, presumably they were spinning up all their servers as well, but that was a game that they were basically giving away for free and then having to pay for all the server costs.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of that's a problem.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it seems like if you want to do a free-to-play multiplayer game, you really just have to bank on having some sort of monetization, or it's like an investment in blowing up your own profile as like a game developer, and then being like, all right, so I spent $100,000 letting you all play my free game, so like please buy the next one.
Yeah, that's wild. Absolutely wild. That's a podcast, folks. Thanks so much for listening, as ever. We're having some little private chats here in the background about, we've had a lot of people listening to the podcast. It's been growing in popularity. Thank you all so much. I always look at anything we do and think about all the different things we could improve it and make it better and make it more fun and make it more useful and all that sort of stuff. So all of us have been chatting about that and which ways we can improve this little thing we're working on here. But thank you all so much for being so cool about it and listening for the past couple of years. It's been a lot of fun, really dedicating a bit of time to this every week and growing our community and interacting with folks a lot more. So it's been a lot of fun. So thank you all so much. If you are at PAX, you can come hang out Saturday, September 2nd at 2:30 Pacific at the Monarch Theatre. There'll be a couple of us there, and we'll have some guests as well. We're still working out exactly who's going to be there and what we're going to show. I might be on the way back from a European trip, so we might just show some of that. We'll probably show some tapes. We'll definitely talk about what we're working on, how we're enjoying the PAX show floor, all that goodness. We'll be around for meet and greets and all that as well. So if you're at PAX, please come on over. September 2nd, 2:30 Pacific at the Monarch Theatre. That's PAX Saturday. The Vampire Survivors documentary, of course, went up. Thanks to everyone who's been checking that out and writing about it. That Xbox lady, what's her name? Why can't I remember anyone's name today? I have such a bad
Cortana
memory. Yes, Cortana.
Xbox lady. Right. I had no idea what you meant when you said that.
It's not Cortana, but Cortana was a good shout. I have to go to. I'm checking our profile on X. God, I can't believe you renamed that website. What an absolute dumb fuck.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Is it? No, but the problem is my brain wants to say Bonnie Ross, which is really terrible.
Is it?
Bond. What's her
Bond,
name?
Sarah Bond.
Sarah Bond. Thank you.
Yes.
Bond. Sarah Bond. Sarah Bond from Xbox was tweeting about the Vampire Survivors documentary, which was quite cool. Even if I'm an asshole and can't remember her name when I'm doing the podcast. So that was neat. Also the aforementioned Sony conference. So we're working on Dwarf Fortress at the moment, that Burger King documentary as well, and a couple of other things, secret sauce in the background. Got some trips, got some local filming, a lot of interesting projects. So keep an ear out for those. If you'd like to support our work here, our podcast, fund our documentaries, and get access to bonus episodes, the official Discord videos, and loads more, including early access to the tapes. We've been doing that. A lot of people enjoyed the Sony conference for a few days before it went live. Head over to patreon.com/Noclip. Jeremy, what are you doing for the rest of your week here?
Oh, Lord. I've got a bunch of color grading to do from like a million different projects. And Heroes of Might and Magic video going up finally this week. We've had a lot of things to attend to in the meantime. But if you've never played Heroes of Might and Magic, you should still watch this because I think you probably will. I'll sell you on it by the end.
I would say you should watch it, especially if you have not.
That's
played
true.
Heroes of Might and Magic.
That's true.
It was an eye-opening experience for me, Jeremy Jane.
I'm glad to hear that.
I assume it will be for others too.
Yeah, it's also like a mini history of Might and Magic, the entire franchise that I compressed into like 12 minutes. So I was proud of the amount of ground that I was able to cover in that. And other than that, probably keep working on this multiplayer prototype. I thought it would be fun to have a thing that I could send to people to play with them, because when you're prototyping, sometimes you're just like, this is fun, and then you play it a bunch and you're like, is this fun? So I think it'll be cool to be able to send it to friends and have them actually like respond to it and give me kind of the unfiltered feedback of people I've known since high school who are truly the best people to give you that raw, unfiltered feedback that makes you feel terrible on occasion.
Absolutely. I agree entirely. I had a brain fart. Sorry, Frank. What are you doing for the rest of your week?
I got to put together some of that Burger King stuff. Remnant 2 comes out. I guess it's out right now.
It's out today.
Yeah. So I have a few friends who have it, so I'm excited to play it. I'm afraid if it's going to be like too hard, but I really enjoyed that first Remnant, so I'll be excited to play that.
Was that Remnant of the Ashes? From the Ashes?
Yeah, it's a weird
the
subtitle.
first one.
Yeah, it was. Remnant 1 was really, really fun. The story is so goofy, and it almost doesn't matter. It's a very theme parky game where it's like, now you're in the jungle area, now you're in the desert area, but like, God, it just feels good. It's like, I feel like if I played it alone, it'd be a 6 or a 7, and it was like a 9 out of 10 with friends.
Dope. Yeah, there's a lot of positive feedback about Remnant, because I guess if you bought the Ultimate Edition, you got it like 3 days earlier. So people have been playing it. But I think the difference was like, is it $40?
It's 50 base level. The
50.
Ultimate Edition might have been 70.
Yeah, it is
80 or 70.
Yeah,
$69
it
for Ultimate.
Oh, it was
Damn.
okay. Yeah. So now you don't have to get that unless you want the skins, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if I was almost going to play some this morning, but I was like, there's enough stuff here already.
The one downside is there's no crossplay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
So I have friends who are torn across consoles. I have one friend who's extremely hardcore. He's on PC. My other friends are all on PlayStation, so I'm not going to get achievements, but I'll still play it on PlayStation 5. I'll be happy.
You can always
to.
get achievements a different time.
That's true.
Circle
do it.
back.
Yes.
Get those Chivos. God damn it. Yeah, that's a shame, especially when I guess you're so used to it now. It's like it's become weirdly ubiquitous, the crossplay thing, when it used to be such a rarity. I mean, it used to be illegal. It used to be. Remember about the Rocket League doc we were talking about? We were talking to them. They were like, "Oh yeah, we have everyone playing on our server. We have done it. Like, it's not a case of can we do it. We are doing it already in tests, but they weren't allowed to do it back then. But now they are.
Yeah.
Sony took down the wall. Mr.
Gorbachev.
Kazurai, tear down that wall.
It was all thanks to Fortnite. Fortnite was Fortnite was the whole reason. Yeah.
Pioneers.
Thanks. Fortnite for killing Unreal Tournament. I'll never forgive you. Okay, that's a podcast. I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of the week. Oh, I do. I'm heading to. I'm dossing off. I've been working on all these edits and whatnot. But tomorrow I am flying to Los Angeles to see my beautiful, beautiful boys, Arsenal, play Barcelona in SoFi Stadium. It'll be the first time I've seen them play in person since I moved from London very close to 10 years ago, and I used to go to games all the time, and it was a big part of I grew up being an Arsenal fan, then I got the privilege of living in North London and living in London for 5 years, so I'm very, 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 very excited to see the guys. So I'm literally flying down tomorrow morning and then flying back Thursday morning. So I fucking love Santa Rosa Airport. You can just fly everywhere here. It's like, take these tiny little planes and you just be a weird little commuter where you're just like taking because it's like, I remember taking the bus to like college and it would take an hour. Now I could take a flight. I think the flight I did when I went down to film some stuff for Noclip about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was in Burbank for maybe 48 hours. I went down to film some stuff and I flew from Burbank back to SFO and it was 45 minutes. Like, it was like ridiculous. I think we were cruising
what plane
for 5
did you take?
minutes.
Was it like a full-size plane or was it a tiny one?
It's like a like 2x2.
Okay.
But like, 30 rows. So it doesn't feel like, I've been on small props and stuff like that. It's not one of those.
Yeah.
It's like it's a jet, but it's like a smaller jet. It's Alaska Air runs all these.
Okay.
And the ones out of that was on United. The ones out of Santa Rosa though are all Alaska Air, and they're similar where it's like, I guess first class is like a weird because it's like 2 on one side and 1 on the other. And then when you get into the back, it's like 2 the whole way. But they're like spacious and fine and comfortable, and I'm not like the most comfortable flyer in the world, but it was totally cool. And it's I just love that drive. So it's a great flight because you literally everything you're passing. You're like, oh, there's San Luis Obispo, and like there's Santa Cruz, and there's Monterey, and we're coming over the Grapevine. Like you can see everything because if you've driven it as much as me and Jeremy have, you kind of know that whole thing pretty well. So it's cool, yeah, and it's not that expensive either. It's like weirdly, especially when you factor in the amount of gas again,
which is like $200 to do that round trip.
Yeah, because it's it's 7 hours. It's like, how many miles is it?
It's like 300 something.
300, yeah, something like that. Yeah, so and you gotta come back. So yeah, it's a 7-hour drive, so it's not not a bad flight. So I'm taking that down. So that'll be fun. And yeah, a lot of secret business going on in the background as well here, Noclip wise, as we get together for the 7th birthday here in September. So trying to get some announcements squared up so we can talk about them and also get through these tapes. So yeah, loads more coming. Like I said, there'll be a bunch up this week by the time this podcast goes up too. That's the podcast. Thanks all so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy your games. See you later. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Burp. 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 Burp.